what's kind of cool about a lot of the epistles is that these are churches, and there's a lot of things that they don't understand. Like in so many of Paul's letters, it's, you don't understand this yet. Let me teach you on this. You're starting to run astray here. Let's correct that. And so there's like something kind of comforting in like going back to like the ancient texts and seeing like even back then, like God's people still didn't understand everything. And they still needed it to be taught. And so here, they still don't understand something that's like a lot of us would look at it and be like, this is a core doctrine of faith. And like, they don't understand like what is to come like next in like the most basic of ways. And so he's having to teach them about the second coming, and that there is hope in this. And like, this is a passage where we develop a lot of people develop a lot of their eschatology. And eschatology, more often than not, especially, here it comes, Ross, especially in dispensationalist circles, is not used to provide hope to people, but quite often it's used to provide to fear and uncertainty and more fear and more fear. And like, it's used as a way to scare people to behave and scare people to Jesus. And like, this is, interestingly enough, this is a core passage that tends to be a core go-to passage for dispensationalism. And then right here, like within this teaching of eschatology, we're being taught about hope. Like in the midst of their confusion and hopelessness, Paul is trying to give them something they can find peace, joy, and comfort in.
I don't disagree necessarily. I would push back on that. I'm, at least in my circles that I grew up in, and the college and that I went to, I never saw the rapture being used as a club. It was more of a message of hope. And that's the way my dad and a lot of the people in his church take it. So I'm not as familiar. I don't doubt you that there's other.
No, yeah, like, and my point is, sorry, man, I thought you were done.
No, I'm never done. So I think there's probably wackier cults and wackier, versions of dispensationalism that can use it as a fear-based thing. But just for even though I don't hold to it anymore because I think Amil is the more correct and simple explanation, I wouldn't use that personally. So I know you have experience with that out in West Texas and that sort of thing. So
yeah, so like I know like people that I would look at as like respectful, decent, like people who are like honestly desiring to pursue and follow Christ, who are dispensationalists. So they're solid believers. People I enjoy talking on the phone. I enjoy sharing a meal with them and that kind of thing. The majority that I've come across are like very strange people.
Thanks.
Which one is Ross?
He's somewhere in the middle, man.
He's strange, but you still want to talk to him occasionally.
Like I keep trying to get him to have a cigar with me, and he won't cross over.
Yeah, sorry,
not reformed enough yet. Yeah. I had a couple thoughts that I wanted to share on this. I really love the imagery of falling asleep in Christ. Those who are asleep. It goes on into verse 14, which we won't hit up yet. But those who are asleep, I find it interesting that believers oftentimes are more talked about in these terms than they are as someone who is dead. Because in reality, when you think about the church triumphant and the church militant, so the church triumphant is those who have gone to be with Christ. The church militant, those who are here still. Oftentimes, the language I've heard is that it's talked about how they're more alive now than they were when they were here. Like they're with Christ and they're alive. So, I just thought it was an interesting kind of turn of phrase. Those who are asleep, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. And I was just talking to a friend of mine about that phrase actually this week, because I lost my mother and sister to brain cancer in the last 5-6 years, and yet I missed them and I grieved over them, but it isn't the same as someone who doesn't have any hope. So thinking about that in these terms, they are more alive now than they were while they were here. And they, the rest in peace kind of takes on a new meaning when you're thinking about them being asleep and with Christ versus, using the kind of cut and dry or more cold term of like dead. We think, oh, they're dead. They don't. No, they're with Him. So, anyways, comforting to me, and I'm sure it's comforting to others.